Coming up next on KYOU News for You at 10. Police searching for a suspect accused of setting 3 fires on Atoma's south side.
As we head into the upcoming weekend, our air mass changes. That means more comfortable weekend weather. We'll have the complete details coming up.
Plus, Main Street in Atoma will host a Shop Local event. These stories and more as KYOU News for You at 10 starts right now.
Live from Ottumwa, the news that's important to you. This is KYOU News for You at 10.
Good evening, I'm Eric Monaghan. Tonight, Ottumwa police are investigating a string of fires that were set early Thursday morning, and all within 1 mile of each other. KYOU's James Barrickman found out where authorities are at in the investigation and who could be responsible.
Tonight, Ottumwa police are searching for this vehicle, a tan station wagon, accused of starting 3 fires in the early hours of Thursday morning.
Well, obviously, these are unusual occurrences to just arbitrarily happen all in the close proximity of time. So, it's kind of an indication that all these are connected.
3 fires started all within 1 mile of each other along Quincy Avenue on Ottumwa's south side. The first coming at 3:02 in the morning at Gilworth Furniture, the next at 3:09 at Dollar General, and then 5:24 at Hobby Lobby. Larry Gilworth of Gilworth Furniture, who was in the building at the time, says bystanders noticed smoke coming from behind the building and called police.
There was a fire out in our dumpster at the back of the building, and the police and the fire department all came, and so I went out there, and it was a fairly major fire, all right.
According to police, the alleged arsonist lit a trash fire at Gilworth Furniture before setting fire to freight containers at Dollar General. 2 hours later, they moved to Hobby Lobby, where a pile of boxes was the next target. Fortunately, each fire was put out quickly. Authorities say they have a lead after piecing together surveillance video.
Yes, we do have a suspect vehicle in mind that we're researching.
Police are calling it an arson attempt. They say an arrest could be made as soon as next week. I'm James Barrickman. KYOU News for You.
If you have any additional details about these incidents, you are encouraged to contact the Ottumwa Police Department at 641-683-0661. Now let's get a check of your first alert forecast. A live look now on our Ottumwa City Cam. Here's meteorologist Joe Winters.
Cold front continues to push to the south, and as it does, it'll take any remaining scattered showers and storms and move them out of the area. Now notice that northerly airflow blowing across the state. That's the direction we want to see because it takes that hot and humid air, moves it out, replaces it with a drier and more comfortable air mass. Those winds from the north right now behind that front that is pushed to our south and off to the east. A north-northwest wind continues, a little stronger as we head into our Saturday. But I don't think anybody will be complaining because it is going to be very, very comfortable. Here's a look at our planner. Overnight tonight, we'll drop down near 70 by 3, mid-60s, low 60s by the morning hours. The farther we get into Iowa, the lower those 60s will be. Mid-70s at noon tomorrow. Notice we still have some partly cloudy to mostly sunny skies hanging around, but more importantly, winds stay from the northwest at 5 to 15. This is the great forecast, though. The muggy meter down in the 50s, maybe even low 60s by Monday. That beautiful air mass with us early next week. We'll take a look at our complete week-long forecast coming up.
Have you ever been awarded for shopping? If not, well, now you can. Main Street Ottumwa will be hosting an event this weekend that could win you prizes. KYOU's Jatira Marsh shows us how.
Shop Small, Love Local is an event promoting local businesses on Main Street here in Ottumwa. 17 businesses are participating, and in order to be eligible for a prize, you have to get at least 3 check marks on this paper passport. Some businesses will require you to buy their product, purchase food, or some will just want you to simply walk in. Lasting from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., Fred Zessiger, who is the Main Street Executive Director, says it's important to pour into your community.
Not only does the money stay in Ottumwa, but it really creates a community. So it's a great thing, and like I said, we've had kind of a double whammy here with COVID and the streetscape, so we're hoping that a lot of people come out and support the local businesses tomorrow.
Zessiger says there's so many great businesses, he can't pick just one.
They're all my favorite. I don't have a favorite businesses. We've got several really great businesses downtown, anywhere from the frozen yogurt shop to Martha's Nook and Cranny, My Chic Boutique, the Stitch Doctor, lots of great little shops downtown that are owned by local people right here in our community.
The names of the winners who participated in the event will be drawn on Wednesday. Jatira Marsh, KYOU News for You.
And 6 Iowa counties are now facing new restrictions for establishments like bars. In counties like Johnson and Polk, bars, nightclubs, and taverns like these are closed. So are breweries, distilleries, and wineries, although they can sell alcohol to go. Governor Kim Reynolds says she's shutting them down to address a spike in COVID-19 cases. Iowa Brewer Guild President Scott Seelix worries the emergency health proclamation could spell the end for some businesses.
Our taproom sales account for something like 80% of our revenue, and so when a taproom is forced to close, you lose potentially 80% of your revenue, and that's what we're seeing with a lot of these breweries that are forced to close. And when that happens for a long enough time, which this really has been going on since March, you start to lose those breweries permanently, and it's really sad.
The increase in the virus activity among young adults is the result of socializing in large groups, not social distancing. And so while we still know that this population is less likely to be severely impacted by COVID-19, it is increasing the virus activity in the community, and it's spilling over to other segments of the population.
Restaurants in the 6 affected counties can stay open, but they have to stop serving alcohol at 10 in the evening. The restrictions last until September 20th. And on to Wapello County's coronavirus numbers. The county is sitting at 92 active cases with 8 current hospitalizations. We're up to 904 recoveries. The county has seen 1,044 cases. Of those cases, 481 people were between the ages of 18 and 40 years old, 298 between 41 and 60, and 145 between the ages of 61 and 80. There have been 48 deaths in the county. And for the state as a whole, there are just over 62,000 positive cases. 1 of 51 Iowans are testing positive for the virus. The state has 1,091 deaths. And this weekend, Beach Ottumwa holds its dog paddle event. Don't have a dog? No problem. KYOU's Shelby Slaughter tells you how you can join in on the fun.
Meet Shyler, Nelson, and this little sleepy guy, Bishop. These are just a few dogs of many who are looking to be adopted and taken out for the day at Beach Ottumwa's Dog Paddle on Sunday the 30th. Head coordinator for the Heartland Humane Society, Pam Ratliff, says this is a perfect opportunity for both people and dogs.
It gets them out of the shelter, people get to see them, see how wonderful they are outside the shelter, and people say, oh, I got to have that dog. They get a hold of us, and they get a home.
Now, if you ask the dogs if they're excited about the dog paddle, well, the general answer would be yes. The dog paddle is open to all dogs 6 months and older and must be accompanied by someone over the age of 18. Admission to the pool can be a donation of dog food or shelter supplies. And if you're still on the fence about adopting a dog for the day, well, Ratliff will tell you to come on down and meet Miley.
We just got a German Shepherd in. Her name's Miley. She's 3 years old. She came from a home that they had an 8-month-old baby. Her problem is that she, when they would leave her alone, she would get bored.
Now, the Heartland Humane Society does have 13 dogs that are available for adoption and for the dog paddle on Sunday. If you wish to get in touch with the Heartland Humane Society about any of the dogs here, get in contact with them at the email here on your screen. In Ottumwa, I'm Shelby Slaughter, KYOU News for You.
Coming up, thousands take to D.C. for the 57th anniversary of Martin Luther King Jr.'s March on Washington. You're watching KYOU News for You at 10.
Live from Ottumwa, you're watching News for You at 10. Available anytime on KYOUTV.com.
57 years ago, Martin Luther King Jr. made his historic I Have a Dream speech. Today, on that anniversary, thousands gathered in D.C. to demand an end to racial injustice and police brutality. NBC's Jeff Bennett reports on the March on Washington.
Thousands of demonstrators today lined the steps of the Lincoln Memorial and packed the National Mall to demand justice. 57 years to the day after Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his seminal I Have a Dream speech at the March on Washington.
We didn't just come today to have a show. Demonstration without legislation will not lead to change.
The Reverend Al Sharpton organized the event following the police killing of George Floyd to channel the outrage into action. Activists today calling for policing reform while demanding equal access to the ballot box and an end to systemic racism. Friday's march taking place during a summer of protest over police violence against black Americans. The latest, 29-year-old Jacob Blake, shot 7 times in the back at close range by police in Wisconsin. His father traveled to Washington for the march.
We haven't moved too far in 60 years. Because when oppression is oppression, it only allows you to move so far.
That sentiment shared by others we talked to today.
I hate for my daughter to see, like on social media, her father getting killed. As a black man, you got to be so strong, you got to be so powerful. I can't show my tears, you know what I'm saying? That's going to make me look vulnerable. And if you show their tears, you know, it gives them the power again.
I have a biracial family, and we have our first son is going to be born in a couple of months. And when he learns about everything that's happening now, and he asked me, well, what did you do? I can't look my son in the eye and tell him I sat and I scrolled Twitter. You know, it's important for me that I show him, your dad was there, your dad showed up.
Are you going to march?
Definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How do you think you're going to feel?
I'll probably break down and cry, to be honest with you.
Americans are marching together, many for the first time, and we're demanding real, lasting, structural change.
After the speeches, the tens of thousands of demonstrators set off to the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial while fighting to make his dream ring true. Jeff Bennett, NBC News, Washington.
And we move to Kenosha, Wisconsin, after another night of protests against the police shooting of Jacob Blake.
You guys out of here?
During Tuesday night's protest, 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse is accused of killing 2 protesters and injuring another with an assault rifle. Video appears to show him brandishing his weapon after the shooting and walking towards police with his hands up, while onlookers shout to the officers that he's the shooter. Kenosha Police Chief Daniel McInnes says the officers were responding to a shots fired complaint.
We have armed individuals out protesting or counter-protesting or simply walking around exercising their right, will put their hands up. So that's not, it might have been abnormal 2 weeks ago. It's no longer abnormal. So there was nothing to suggest that this person was involved in any criminal behavior.
Rittenhouse is from Illinois. He turned himself in to Antioch police and is awaiting extradition to Wisconsin. He's charged with first-degree intentional homicide and attempted homicide. People in several states are assessing the damage today after Hurricane Laura rushed ashore in Cameron, Louisiana, early Thursday morning. Areas like Sulphur, Louisiana, where high winds snapped power lines and brought down trees. Even this McDonald's sign couldn't sustain the powerful force of the strong Category 4 storm as it battered the Louisiana coast. Farther inland in Arkansas, where a subdivision in Gooberton was damaged. The side of this home was sheared off in the storm, sending debris across the area. And this is all that's left of the Refuge Baptist Church after the storm produced a possible tornado in Lake City. Some residents say that the size and strength of the hurricane had them expecting much worse.
I didn't get the damage that they were talking about, but we were like right there on that edge.
We thought it was going to be 10 to 20 foot surge in Lake Charles, which is a lot of water around us here. The water surge never did show up, which is a good thing for us. But the damage with the wind, you know, the eye came through here. So it went through Sulphur and Lake Charles, and on the outer wall of the eye is where the big wind speeds, I think, of 137 miles per hour for like 6 hours, you know, and then you get the wind coming from the other direction.
Hurricane Laura is blamed for at least 10 deaths. The hurricane has now been rated a tropical depression as it continues northeast through Illinois. And coming up, the step counter from Amazon that is preparing to do more than just count your steps. Plus,
After a week of high humidity across the area, very warm conditions, we quiet down. Saturday, 80, 82 on Sunday. We'll take a look at how long this nice weather lasts into next week coming up.
You're watching KYOU News for You at 10. And now, First Alert Weather.
Cold front has pushed through the area. With that, it's taking the warm air and pushing it to the south. Notice back across the northern plains, some beautiful weather conditions, upper 50s, low 60s. We'll see that air move down during our overnight hours tonight. It's also going to take all this moisture that's out there and push it off toward the south and east. Low to mid 70-degree dew points will be replaced by 60-degree dew points and some 50s as well. It's even drier back near Rapid City right now. The dew point at 38 degrees. We're not going to get there, but it will be more comfortable for the upcoming weekend. Setup tonight, again, pretty simple setup. We've got what was once Hurricane Laura continuing to push across areas to our south and east. We do have a cold front pushing across the area. Any remaining showers and storms along that front ending as it pushed to the south and east. Mild there. I wouldn't call it cold or cool. I would call it mild and comfortable. We have an area of high pressure backing it up. That will move in for the weekend. And the good news is it does stay around for the early part of the week, and looks like early September, some nice weather as well. A scattering of showers and storms showing up on Pinpoint Futurecast, but that activity again is slowly moving away. Here's that light northerly airflow. Notice as we head through our Saturday, really not a lot of weather activity to talk about. Mostly sunny skies, maybe partly cloudy skies at times. We head into Sunday, same air mass still with us. Very, very comfortable conditions. Sunday morning we start out with some sunshine, which we will greatly enjoy with that comfortable air, able to get outside and enjoy some outdoor activities. Any scattered thunderstorms tonight end fairly early. A northwest wind replaces. We'll be back to about 64 degrees by morning, which is about seasonal for this time of the year. We head into Saturday. There you go. Mostly sunny skies. North winds at 5 to 15. A high near 80 degrees, which is slightly below where we should be, but we'll take it as we head through the last part of the month of August. Now, speaking of getting outside with some clear skies, there's a great view we've had for a while, but now the moon makes an appearance in our sky as well. Look to the south around 9 p.m. anytime this weekend, even early next week, as we have a clear sky overhead. When you look to the south, you'll see three bright objects. Of course, the moon, very easy to recognize, but then we have two planets that'll be near the moon as well, Jupiter and Saturn. As we head through the weekend, the moon will slowly go below the Jupiter and Saturn into early next week. So watch for the progression of the moon toward our full corn moon next week, and take a look at Saturn and Jupiter as well. Very easy to see beyond the weather, that in our southern sky. Forecast wind ranges, we're going to keep once again conditions fairly light as far as the winds, but direction, how about a southwest wind back to a west wind? Second cold front pushes through. There's a northeast wind on Tuesday, so there's a bit of a reinforcing shot of some cooler air that's moving our way. And you see that reflected when we take a look at early September weather. Take a look at this air mass from the plains through the upper Midwest, Mississippi and Ohio Valley. Cooler than normal conditions expected. It doesn't have to be cold, just can be cooler than normal, which means lots of 70 degrees for highs and overnight lows likely down in the 50s. Could come with some rain as well. It does look like a slightly better than normal chance of some above normal precipitation. 80, 82, 78. Beautiful conditions. Monday, 78 degrees. Could be some showers and storms on Monday and Tuesday again as that system moves through. And then just beautiful air keeping with us. High near 80 degrees. Overnight lows back down in the 50s all the way through the end of next week. That's a complete look at our 7-day forecast. Eric, back to you.
Consumer spending increased slightly in July, but at a slower pace than the previous 2 months. The Commerce Department says consumers upped their spending just shy of 2% last month and marked the third straight month of gains, although it is a slowdown from the prior 2 months. And it's difficult to predict how spending in future months will go, even at best. High unemployment, small businesses struggling, and deep uncertainty about controlling the coronavirus have all slowed a robust recovery. And Amazon is jumping into the wearables market with a health tracker that does more than just track your steps. It's called Halo. It comes alongside a subscription service and smartphone app. It goes beyond what traditional fitness trackers do by tracking a user's emotional state, by listening to the tone of their voice. It also provides a three-dimensional rendering of the user's body with an estimated body fat percentage and monitors quality of sleep. And now that remote work is more common, A growing number of Americans are having second thoughts about where they live. Some are even finding cheap old houses on social media and paying as little as $10,000 for historic fixer-uppers in far-off places. NBC's Liz McLaughlin has more.
My house is pretty affordable. I think it was less than my car.
Betsy Sweeney's new dream home in West Virginia didn't break the bank.
The purchase price of my home was $18,500.
She found the listing on the Cheap Old Houses Instagram feed, which features historic homes under $100,000.
I never expected we would have 1.2 million followers.
A following that's been growing since the start of the pandemic, especially from remote working millennials.
They're more likely to take the kind of risk, move across the country and buy a house they saw on Instagram, which, by the way, many people have done.
Oh my gosh, what are we doing?
Brittany and Dave Radmaker bought their home in Potterville, Michigan, after seeing it on Cheap Old Houses.
We want to be part of a story. There's so much history behind these homes. There's so much character that's involved with a lot of old homes.
The vintage farmhouse on 20 acres is the labor of love for the new homeowners.
This is the kitchen, which will all need to be gutted and replaced.
Who are putting in a lot of elbow grease before they can move in.
The project will always go longer than the time frame that you have cut out for it.
And it will cost more money.
And cost more money than what you allot.
But for the growing Cheap Old Houses movement, saving historic homes is well worth the hassle. Liz McLaughlin, NBC News.
And you could save money by restoring older homes, but be sure to consider costs beyond the sticker price. For example, that $18,000 West Virginia home you saw in the story is getting $125,000 in renovation. Well, coming up, a change in tone from Big Ten football officials. Could we see Hawkeye football this fall? You're watching KYOU News for You at 10.
And now, KYOU Sports for You.
The Big Ten announced earlier this month they would not play football this fall, but there is a report today that playing in 2020 may just happen. According to the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, a January return to football plan could be earlied up with games starting the week of Thanksgiving. Big Ten Commissioner Kevin Warren has been criticized by both players and some parents for acting too quickly to cancel the fall season. In fact, a lawsuit was recently filed by 8 Nebraska football players to have that decision overturned. The earlier start is reportedly a push being made by some coaches. While the Big Ten reconsiders playing, the ACC, SEC, and Big 12 conferences plan to play football starting in September. Hall of Fame basketball coach Lute Olson has died. The former Iowa Hawkeye coach has been previously reported to be in poor health earlier this week after he was moved to hospice care. He was 85 years old. Olson finished his coaching career with a record of 776 to 285 in 34 seasons at Arizona, Iowa, and Long Beach State. And the Oakland Athletics and the Houston Astros lined up in front of their dugouts and stood for a 42-second moment of silence to honor MLB legend Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson Day, which is usually observed on April 15th, was held on Friday due to the coronavirus pandemic pushing the start of the season back. But before a pitch could be thrown, both clubs walked off the field to their respective clubhouses. The two rival clubs came together to protest the recent shooting of Jacob Blake, 29-year-old black man, by Wisconsin police. The protest by the A's and Astros was similar to the one done by New York Mets and Miami Marlins on Thursday. However, the message remained strong throughout the week leading up to Friday. This was the Astros' first chance to recognize the social injustice movement. They had not played since Tuesday because of the hurricane. The series opener was postponed and will be made up at a later date. And it's National Red Wine Day. Red Wine Day started back in 2014, and there are many ways to celebrate. August 28th is the perfect day to open a Cabernet Sauvignon. Next in popularity is Merlot. You can find it throughout the world. Zinfandel, another top-selling red wine, can also vary a lot by the region where the grapes are grown. Not to be left out, Pinot Noir had its own annual national commemoration just 10 days ago. If you can't make up your mind, there are plenty of great blends of red wine to choose from. And that's all for tonight. Thanks for joining us for KYOU News for You at 10. We'll see you right back here next week. Until then, for news and the latest First Alert forecast, 24 hours a day, like our Facebook page and visit our website, KYOUTV.com. Have a great night.